when I give a visa, I have to do it with pencil.
With a brush.
With a brush.
Yes.
He brushed on the
Yes, he
pieces
brushed.
of art.
Yeah, well, it's Japanese hieroglyphs.
Yeah.
Takes a long time.
Yeah, but it was not possible because they all came to him for this first visa. So when they were there, he gave it. And then, because he was brushing his visa, they had to wait until he had time to do it.
Wow. So his visa was a stamp,
No.
and his visa was hieroglyphs.
No,
He
he
also had
was-
to write.
Oh,
First was
handwriting.
handwriting.
But
But
after-
it took less time than to brush.
Yeah.
This took
Yes.
2 or 3 times longer.
Yes.
But
So he found
afterwards he made a stamp.
It took half an hour for him, but later on they stamped. Later on he stamped also.
Oh. So how many? How you see only part of the queue?
Yeah.
Queue was big, yes.
Yes.
The line was
And
big.
also in the Leiswassallee, the roads,
Yeah.
they started early in the morning.
By
until-
the consulate,
At the
by the
consulate,
Philips.
Yes, started very early. And he had 2 helpers to
Yes.
help him and to keep the people a bit, because he was sitting up on the first corner, on the first etage,
floor.
on the first floor. And there was only one stair, and he was so afraid, he said, that the stair might buckle on the
Collapse.
capsule, might collapse. But it didn't. So these other people had to hold him back a bit.
Stair collapse for the reason of overcrowd, to be
Yeah.
overcrowded.
Yeah.
Overcrowded.
Yeah. Of course. It was all unexpected. Also sudden.
Mostly Polish guys.
All,
Mostly Poles, mostly Polish Jews. Yeah.
all of them.
Not
all
all,
of
some were
I think
Lithuanians.
all-
Yeah.
Not Lithuanian, because they
Some
were
Czech.
not allowed to leave. The Lithuanian Jews were not allowed to leave with the visa. They were all Polish Jewish refugees.
No, some of them after that in Israel I have to land. Some of them
You have
left.
some
After
from
that.
Lithuania.
Yeah, but the communists arrived only on 22nd of July 1940. So he was working all the year 39-40. So 1 year is
No, the visas were done in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes, in 2 weeks.
In
2 weeks.
in July.
July,
July, correct.
yeah,
40.
July 40.
Yes, yes.
15 July.
And he took a bit longer. He
Yeah.
went on
Yes.
until, I think, August.
Yeah.
3
And
weeks.
it was
Yeah.
fortunate that we were still there, because we should have left the country, and already our furniture had gone, so there was no furniture in the house, and but we couldn't go out because we hadn't an uitreisvisum. What is that?
Yeah.
An exit visa.
We needed an exit visa, and suddenly they didn't want to give us an exit visa.
Communist.
The communists.
Yeah.
The new
Yeah,
arrived
the
communists.
communists. Yeah.
Russian, yeah.
So we had to stay. And it was in that time that all these people came for help. So they saw it is the last possibility. And it was the last possibility. The last possibility. There was no other way to leave the country.
But how you knew that the communist power arrived?
Oh, because there was an invasion. They came with
with army.
One morning we woke up, and the Russian had arrived with tanks. They came into Kaunas, and they came with planes. A real invasion. So, and nobody knew. Well, anyway, I think I didn't know. My parents didn't know. Nobody in our.
Where your apartment was? In which place your private apartment was? Where you stayed?
Perkunas.
In Perkunas,
Yeah.
yes. That was your
Perkunas,
private, yes.
Yeah.
Perkunas area. Uh-huh.
And when we went to school at that time, before 15 July, we always had to go down first, yeah,
Yes.
to the school.
Yes, from the hill, yes.
Yeah. And then we passed him. We passed his house.
Was around
But
the
the
corner.
Perkunas and his house was about
There were some stairs.
stairs, yes.
The stairs gone, and that was near his house. So we passed his house to go to school. So we knew he was there, but we never, well, I have seen him, but I never spoke to him.
And you saw her.
And I saw her, and she was a beautiful lady. She came right from Paris.
I saw,
It seemed
yes.
right from Paris, and she was beautiful, and a very unusual sight to see, because of course she was Japanese, and I didn't know any Japanese, and she was dressed beautifully, and she had high heels. Can you imagine that?
I met her but 2 years before she died.
And
She was here staying in her place.
yeah. And there she walked, and she smelled beautiful of her perfume. And we liked it so much that my brother and I, we walked behind her until we had to go down the stairs.
To smell the perfume.
Yeah, to smell the perfume.
I
And
have huge talks with her. She was actually speaking Japanese. She was not very much English spoken lady.
no,
So
I've never spoken to
even
her.
after 6 years, when you met her, saw her, she was here with me talking in this house. She was telling how tired her husband was, and how swollen yes, swollen was the hand, was very bigger, and she massaged the hand of her husband.
Yeah.
She told me the story.
Oh.
She was every evening putting the hand to the water.
Yeah.
Well, for the writing all these hieroglyphs, you know.
Oh,
was
yes, of
complicated.
course she had
And the hand was so tired, especially these two fingers. And she told me how she was massaging these 2 fingers.
Of course, because it was very tiring to hold this pencil,
Brush.
to hold this brush.
Brush,
It
yes.
was very tiring.
Right.
And he had to do it quickly as well.
Right.
So she did good work.
Amazing. So
Was your father like sharing his opinion about what he is doing? Why he is helping to these people? It was not compulsory for him, like nobody forced him to
No,
help
No,
these
but
people.
people came to ask for help. Of course, they looked, how can we leave the country? So first one man came, and another came, and then there was this idea, maybe there is a possibility to go to the West Indies, to the
Yes.
Dutch West Indies.
Yes.
And my father has looked into it,
Yes.
and it seemed possible, but the difficult thing was, if they would go there, hoe heette zo'n man die op die eiland
Governor.
had? The governor. But then the governor of the place where they would come,
Macau? No.
No, Curacao.
Curacao,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, Curaçao, they would have to give them permission to land. And that was, he knew it was very difficult, but anyway, he thought if these people go and they have this long way to go to the West Indies,
Right.
they have to pass Russia and then over the sea and so on.
Siberia.
It seemed impossible. And he thought, well, I can just make this paper and say that they can land there. So he wrote something in his visa, which was not true. Unfortunately, he did that because otherwise they wouldn't have that transit visa for Japan.
Mhm.
That was needed. So he needed a transit visa from him.
No. This was, my father made a destination visa. You need a destination.
Yes.
And so my father gave the destination visa to Curacao.
Yes.
Okay, so they had a destination.
And they said that
And
they
then-
could have political asylum in Curacao
Yeah.
by the governor.
And
Which
with,
was not
with,
true.
with that, they went to Sugihara and said, well, okay, we have a destination visa, but we have to go through Japan. So
Right.
please give us a transit visa. So destination visa and transit visa.
The final visa and visa underway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were both necessary.
Yeah.
They both couldn't do something without the other.
And still they had to go through Russia.
Yeah.
That's another story.
Yeah.
Huge rush. Siberia, two
Trans-
weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
2 weeks.
And then the ship
Then to Vladivostok, and from
Yes.
Vladivostok to Kobe.
to Kobe, and a lot of them went from Kobe to Shanghai.
Yes, to Russia.
And nobody-
Russia
and
was
now-
friendly to Germany.
And nobody went to Curacao. Nobody went to Curacao.
Nobody.
Zero.
Zero.
That was funny.
Yes, well, every embassy denied visas for Jewish people.
Yeah.
American embassy.
Yes,
Before Russians arrived, Kaunas was overbooked with embassies.
yes.
So embassies denied the visas, one after seventh. They were blocked in the corner,
Mhm.
Jewish community.
Yeah.
So Jewish people, well, the German Jews arrived to Kaunas.
Yeah.
And after that, Polish Jews started to arrive after the 1st of
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
So they understood that this huge tsunami wave from Nazi Germany is
Yeah,
slowly
so it
coming.
was very crowded here.
So, and then the Soviets invaded after Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, and everyone was frozen.
Yeah.
And the Soviets closed the borders down.
Mm.
And before, the embassies refused to give visas before the Soviets arrived. So it was
It was
frozen condition to see when the death is coming.
Mm.
To see through the window when the Nazi Germany is coming, and listen to Adolf Hitler speeches in German language in Philips radio.
Mm. Mm.
You know, they have, everyone was more or less, it was clear that extremely bad things are coming. Especially refugees arrived.
Mm.
Refugees, first German refugees. And Sugihara was in Germany before.
Yeah.
And he knew how they behaved with Jews
Mm.
when he came to Lithuania. So he was motivated. So your father was mentioning, or never mentioning,
Yeah.
the Nazi. He has this sixth sense inside about
Yes.
the Jewish community is underway to be.
He knew how the Germans were. He
He
always
knew about the German
He always hated
German
them.
order.
Yeah.
That's mean
Yeah.
new order.
He knew, so he,
He had lived in Prague
Aha.
before and worked in Prague and in Hamburg.
Mhm.
Also, Edith was in Hamburg during 3 years. So they knew who was Hitler and was his ideas.
What his intentions.
And what were his bad intentions. But he never knew, Jan Zwartendijk, that he had saved so many Jews. When he died, he did not knew that all those people survived.
He never was in touch with them
No.
until 76.
Yes.
that's right. But just before his death, he heard of something. huh?
Yeah.
No,
One, one.
the letter arrived with news from Jerusalem, from Waarhavik, with a description about how many Jews arrived finally
Right.
and survived, and
Right.
that was about 90%.
Yes.
And the letter telling that arrived the day after he died. He did not know. And that was the only thing he wanted to know. He said, he never talked about the whole story, never. Until just a couple of years before he died, because there were journalists coming to our home and saying, well, we have heard from survivors that you have done this and that. And he said, no, this is not very important. I have done something which everyone would have done in my place, which is not true.
No.
But the only thing I want to know is how many people survived. So I never knew.
Yeah.
But
died
he
one day
knew
before.
that somewhere, because
Yeah,
He's
some,
from Sweden.
but not that
Yeah.
that there were
Peter.
2,000, 3,000
Dat was
Jews
het
were
En-
rescued.
And from the
Survived. He didn't know that.
Yep.
America.
Yep.
Yes, no, in this authentic place, I would like to say to you, in the name of my family, in the name of the authentic survived Lithuanian Jews here, Lithuanian people here, I would say thank you so much. Your father was a hero, and he was for us hero all this captive communist time when we have his name in our hearts, Jewish family. So I would like to say thank you so much in the name of my mother, Polina. Her name is Polina Zinger.
Zinger.
Yeah, Tatarsky, before some wars. Born name Tatarsky. And like a first chairman of Jewish community of this in reborn Lithuania. I'd like to say in the name of all of us, thank you so much. And in the name of Lithuania, well, I'm a signatory of the Act of Independence. So I'd like to say thank you so much for saving our people. And your father was a brilliant, during these years of this moment of examination, he showed best qualities of human being. Well, it was communist guys outside. It was dangerous to do. It was never asking to do that. Never. No one person asked him to do that. So thank you so much.
Well, I'm really touched about this. Very good. And you know, many years after, I was very surprised to get an invitation for a marriage in
The wedding.
yeah, for a wedding of a Jewish young couple. I didn't know the couple, I didn't know the parents, but I knew of the story of one of the first people who went away. And Goodweert. It was Goodweert.
Yeah, that was the first
Yeah.
one. And he had a Dutch passport. He was Jewish. He had a Dutch passport, and he came, and he was the first one to get the visa. And he told his friends, and then the whole thing started. And the son of Goodweert, that was the wedding we were talking about.
So the grandchild of
Yeah.
it was the grandchild. So it was marvelous. It was in Antwerp. It was a beautiful marriage. I'd never seen a Jewish marriage.
But Goodweert had already died. He wasn't there.
No, he was not died. He didn't. I went to a few marriages. Oh yes, and then it's very special, beautiful really. And then we were sitting all and talking. Everybody talked. There was a whole lot of noise, and suddenly there had to be silence. And what happened? And of course I didn't understand what they say. And came a rabbi, and they said, he's going to tell something about your father. And the rabbi told all this story for half an hour to the whole community. That was fantastic, eh? And I had the place of honor then.
Which year it was?
Pardon?
Which year? In which year it was?
Welk jaar? Welk jaar? Wanneer?
Oh, welk jaar? I think it must have been 19, somewhere in the 90s. Nee, wacht even. Het was nadat Henk gestorven. It was after the death of my husband. So it must have been about 19 years ago. No, after 16 years ago.
98, 99 or something like that.
Yeah,
But that was in Antwerp.
that was in Antwerp. And I had another one in England. And another one again in Antwerp.
Right.
And they
But,
all said, it's all because of your father that my grandchild or my child is here. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here.
I would like to tell you that in our Jewish hearts, the story of your father now, after years and years, received bigger and bigger place, bigger and bigger corner. The corner in Jewish hearts, in Israel, in the United States, in Holland, the story is more and more known, and the story is like a light in huge darkness in the 40s.
Yes, yes.
You know, it was not usual, extremely heroic moment to save people who are displaced, underway to be arrested and killed in few months later. So, and the story was known while the German army was next to Lithuania, 60 kilometers from Kaunas. Can you imagine? 60. 60. And Soviets make a Molotov-Ribbentrop pact that was, they were like brothers, these Germans. It was, they were not fighting, they were no, they were friends.
Yeah.
They divided Europe.
Yeah.
They left part of Poland to Germany, part of Poland to Soviet. So, and they freeze population. So that was last moment for somebody to go away from upcoming tragedy, upcoming gas chambers, upcoming arrest. And before that, Soviets arrested a lot of them and sent them to Siberia, like captive, KGB. That they started their cleaning from bourgeois, their mass arrests from all elements. This means bourgeois, not Communist Party leaders. Can you imagine? They started cleaning their society before Nazis arrived. It was tragedy after tragedy.
But also Jewish?
Yes. A lot of Jews were not Communist Party leader members. Can you imagine? Most of them were not communists. So they started to see, they screened who belonged to which party, who belonged to not communist political movement. Okay, not like they were arrested, not like Jews, but like political enemies of communist party and communist regime. So in such horrible mess, before Soviets arrived for a few months, then Nazis arrived for 4 years. That was and Jewish community were underway to be exterminated. 94%. 94% of all them.
Incredible.
That means mostly all of them.
Yeah.
Children, women, are all on their way to be killed. So.
But on the dreadful road they had to take.
And your mother was in which camp?
Stulov concentration camp next to Danzig. This is first in Kovna ghetto, and after that, after Kovna ghetto, in Stulov. Stulov, yes, Stulov is the most, one of the most, this double, I'm sorry, Stulov. Zweimal. Stulov.
Yes. Okay.
Stulov, Deutsch. Stuthof.
Yeah.
And your father was in Dachau?
No, her father.
Her father was in
Paulina.
That is the name of your mother?
Yes, Zinger. Tatarski.
And her father was in Dachau?
Her father was in Dachau, yes, her father was in Dachau. And her brother was in Dachau. You're invited for a couple of tea, okay? If possible.